Many games nowadays boast about their multiple endings and action and consequence-based narratives. Yet, few titles truly manage to blend choice, morality, and gameplay mechanics as seamlessly as the Dishonored series. In Dishonored, player choice isn't just a gimmick, it's the foundation of the entire experience, shaping not only the world around you, but also the very nature of your protagonist. Dishonored is a stealth game initially released in 2012 with its successor, Dishonored 2, coming out in 2016. At the heart of the Dishonored series is a tale of revenge, betrayal, and the collapse of society, all set in the industrial plague-ridden city of Dunwall. The game's narrative presents you with a fairly simple premise. Someone wronged you, and you have the chance to right that wrong by any means necessary. The question is, what are you willing to do to achieve your goals? In Dishonored, there is no good and evil. You are offered powers by a godlike entity known as the Outsider, who only asks in return for you to be entertaining. The Outsider is morally gray, and as such, he doesn't care in what way you use the powers you are given. This puts our character in a position of having superpowers far beyond the average man that goes completely unchecked, allowing us to do effectively whatever we want with them. On the surface, Dishonored offers a binary moral framework, the high chaos, lethal path, versus the low chaos, non-lethal path. But this oversimplifies the depth of the choice system. The game rewards players for creative problem solving, offering dozens of ways to eliminate or spare enemies. But beyond the immediate gameplay, your choices have a tangible, long-term impact on the world. For example, ruthlessly cutting down guards and civilians may feel cathartic in the moment, but this leads to a darker world. Rats overrun the streets, security tightens, and characters become more hostile. The city itself reacts to your brutality. On the flip side, playing a more merciful or stealthy role leads to a relatively more stable environment where hope, however fragile, persists. You might stand by and watch as a group of civilians are executed, or you might step in and kill the guards to spare them. Is one more moral than the other? While intervening may seem like the right thing to do, it forces you to take lives in the process. Standing by, on the other hand, may preserve your moral high ground, but it comes at the cost of innocent lives. The game constantly blurs the lines between action and inaction, questioning whether doing nothing is truly a neutral choice. Every decision, whether passive or aggressive, has consequences, and the game never gives you a clean answer as to which path is morally superior. Throughout the game, you'll find you're tasked with multiple assassination missions, and while there's always a non-lethal option available if you choose to seek it out, each target can be easily justified as deserving of death. Whether it's a ruthless dictator or a violent gang leader, these are far from innocent people. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide who, if anyone, is worthy of mercy. This brings us to an important point. Morality in Dishonored isn't purely an external measure. The choices you make also reflect on your protagonist, either Corvo or Emily's, internal state. The more violent your approach, the more ruthless and detached your character seems to become. The less blood on your hands, the more you maintain your humanity. What's fascinating here is that Dishonored avoids a clear good versus evil narrative. The low chaos route doesn't feel entirely noble, just as the high chaos route doesn't feel purely villainous. Instead, the game constantly forces you to reevaluate the cost of your actions. Is mercy always right if it leads to greater suffering? Is violence justified if it brings swifter justice? This ambiguity is where Dishonored shines, forcing players to make difficult choices that rarely have clean outcomes. Another core aspect of Dishonored's choice system is how it ties into the game's power fantasy. Corvo and Emily both wield supernatural gifts, given to them by the mysterious Outsider. These powers make you feel godlike, capable of bending time, teleporting, or possessing other people. But with such power comes the temptation to dominate and destroy. It's easy to dispatch enemies with these abilities, but the game subtly asks, do you need to? Here, player agency is intertwined with the question of responsibility. The Outsider's gift gives you immense freedom to choose how you approach every challenge, but it's up to the player to define their ethical limits. The powers are neutral. How you wield them isn't. So why does it all matter? What makes Dishonored's take on morality and consequence stand out? In many games, choice is often binary and inconsequential, designed to provide the illusion of agency. The consequences might be superficial or the outcome the same no matter what. But in Dishonored, your actions affect the game world in tangible, systematic ways. The game remembers your choices, and it forces you to confront them. Your morality isn't defined by a simple good or bad meter, but by the nuanced and often conflicting outcomes your decisions produce. Ultimately, Dishonored is a game that doesn't tell you how to play or what to believe. The question it asks isn't, can you succeed? But rather, what are you willing to become in order to succeed? The Dishonored series remains a masterclass in merging narrative with gameplay, offering players not only the thrill of action and stealth, but also the deeper challenge of navigating complex moral choices. It's a game that rewards reflection and thoughtfulness, asking players to live with the consequences of their actions long after the credits roll.